friends, I'm so excited to propagate some Hoya with you guys today. So I am waiting for Lindsay Sisti. She's going to be joining me today. She just wrote a book on propagation. She's known as All the Plant Babies. Oh, here you are. All the Plant Babies. I'm going to get you in. So Lindsay, you're just going to request to join, and then here we go. We're going to bring Lindsay in, and we're going to do a little propagation. He's coming in. I had to order a bunch of this stuff on Amazon, so I need to make sure that I have it, but it's open. Here she is. Hello, Lindsay. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to play with all my new toys that I ordered since we've been chatting, and I'm so excited to do this little propagation tutorial on Hoyas, because who doesn't want, what Hoya head doesn't want more Hoyas in their life, right?
Everyone wants more Hoyas.
So quick intro for anybody who is new. You are celebrating your book launch today. So who are you and what is your book and what are we going to be doing today?
Okay, well, my name is Lindsay, aka All the Plant Babies, who those of you on Instagram may know me as. I am a certified Hoya head, which a term that my lovely friend Kay from In Rooted Love, I believe, created a long time ago. Gosh, it feels like a long time ago. But I am a Hoya head. I love Hoyas. They are probably my favorite plant to propagate. However, the plant that I do specialize in growing has to be anthuriums, anthuriums and alocasias. So those two are presently my two hyperfixations, if you will. But I love Hoyas. I always come back to Hoyas. They're like the staple in my house. I am an anthurium and alocasia breeder and hybridizer, so I am constantly working on new alocasia. I'm gonna move my camera down a little bit. I'm constantly working on new alocasia and anthurium species. I sell them in my Etsy shop. I just wrote a book on propagating all of these plants, including this is my book.
Yay!
And yay! It's called The Ultimate Guide to Houseplant Propagation, and it talks about how people can propagate these plants in their own home, but not just propagating by taking cuttings, but also how to grow anthuriums through pollination, creating their own seed batches, how to grow alocasias from corms. A lot of the it takes beginners from taking cuttings of pothos to the more technical aspects of propagation for the more advanced plant parent. So it really is like an A to Z propagation book for beginners to more advanced plant collectors.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do feel like there's so many different like 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 different types of propagation, and I remember like not knowing what a wet stick was, like a blight, like just a node.
Right.
And I tried growing a node for the first time like a couple years ago, and there's always something fun, and I'm excited because you're going to teach me a couple of new techniques. So we're focusing in on Hoya. I have a variety of Hoya for us to play with today. And I thought we have a lot to cover just in a half an hour. So I think we should dive in, but this is all in celebration of your plant propagation book. So where should we begin? Where should we start?
Well, okay, so we could start in the order of that you would like to, but I mean, I think it's easiest to start in the order that a beginner would think of.
Easiest to most complicated.
Right. Like the most intuitive way to propagate a Hoya would be to take a cutting of a stem and stick it into a substrate, whether that be water, whether it be sphagnum moss. You would always think first, okay, I'm going to take a cutting and stick it into a jar of substrate. And I know I asked you to buy a very special substrate, which is my favorite substrate. So if you don't mind, we could start with fluval stratum. Okay.
So So I've got my bag of fluval and I have a glass of that's half filled with water. And then also these are from Modern Sprout. I don't know if you've ever used these, but you put them on top so that it like keeps it doesn't allow, like, the worst thing about propagating in water is that when the stem falls
Right.
out, it's so annoying. So I think I'm gonna lower this a little bit and then maybe you can just walk me through. Yeah, that's better. So should I be putting dry fluval in this? Should I dump this water out and do dry fluval?
Yes. So, well, you won't need that topper from Modern Sprout because the one good thing about, well, not, there's many good things about fluval stratum, but fluval stratum is going to hold your cuttings in place because it's compressed,
Right.
tiny little compressed balls of
Okay.
soil. So it looks like little rocks, but it's actually individual compressed balls of soil from this one single volcano in Japan, which is very interesting. It's the Mount Aso volcano in Japan that these little pellets come from. So I see you have a different brand. But it still should work okay. It's shrimp stratum. There is an off brand, but I think it should still
Oopsies.
work just.
I think I might have ordered the wrong thing, but we're gonna roll with it. Everybody pretend this is fluval stratum.
Pretend it's fluval stratum. So I just don't want to off quote that the bag that you have is from the Mount Aso volcano in Japan. But I think I believe Aqueon also uses the same because Aqueon is a big fish tank company, and all of this fluval stratum, the shrimp stratum, it all started off for the fish tank industry and for planted tanks.
Yeah.
And they found that these planted fish tanks with the live plants took off like crazy. Shrimp lay their eggs and live in this substrate. And then it started being used in the rare plant growing, translated into the rare plant world. And people just find that their propagations take off in this stuff. It's like plant crack. There's a few reasons why, and I know, I could go on I could take 30 minutes talking about fluval stratum because it really is that amazing. But one of the reasons why it's so incredible is that it has the perfect pH for plants. So it will, for nutrient absorption, and it will actually change the water to a pH of 6 to 6.5. So it gets the pH right in that perfect range for plants to grow. It has natural nutrients in it because it is compressed soil. And so it has nutrients and it's the perfect pH for the absorption of those nutrients. So you don't have to add any, liquid dirt or any super thrive. Like it's packed with all the good stuff already. So
Okay.
it's just plants just take off in this stuff, and it holds your cuttings up. So you just add.
How
Okay,
much?
more one more thing I was going to make a note. And since you're ready with it, just fill up the jar like 3/4 of the way
Three
with it. As much
quarters?
as your cutting would, as much as you would fill the jar with water, fill it with the fluval stratum. And what I'll make a note is the one downside of fluval stratum is that it can be expensive. So what I do personally is I cut it 50-50 with perlite just so that my plants get the benefit of the fluval, but that
Okay.
it's half as expensive.
Okay, got it. All right, then if I'll put a little back. Now, am I putting any water in this?
Yes, you are, but you don't need to quite yet because it's much easier to work with dry fluval than wet fluval.
Okay.
And then you'll also, if you get it wet, you'll get fluval finger. I just coined that term. Maybe I'll trademark it. No, my fingers are always black now, and my husband's like, "Okay, Lindsay, your fingers look like shit. You can't go out like this." I'm like, "They're fluval fingers. Like they are stained."
That's so funny.
Yeah, Roos is with me. It turns your fingers black like soot, and it's like you cannot get this stuff off your fingers, or your rugs. So don't
Okay.
don't step on it on your rugs. It's like charcoal. So once you have the fluval in there, take the cuttings of your Hoya that you would like to place in there. So with a clean scissor, um, any scissor will do. You don't have to have, those are beautiful. Oh my gosh, those are my favorite cutting shears.
I
Um,
love them so much.
I love them.
You know what though? I'm such a bonehead. I use them to cut this open, and now I have the Clomex on this. But hold on. Oh, I
Well,
found one
that's
of
kind of
these.
like a bonus, right?
Right.
So
I
like
guess
instead
so.
of
Okay. So with Hoya, with taking cuttings, I mean, I know how to take a normal cutting, but anything I need to know with taking cuttings of Hoya?
you know, it's very similar to a philodendron. You want to cut along the internode, which is, and I have a Hoya here just in case I needed to show as well. And the internode is just the stem space between two leaves. So anywhere where there's bare stem, and ideally right above where there were two leaves.
And am I leaving, how many sets of leaves should I leave on it?
So you want a maybe about one, two, three, four sets of leaves so that you have a nice long cutting.
So like that?
Yeah,
Actually, I'll do one more. I'll do one more.
sure. And the only reason why we're leaving such a long cutting is because you have a nice long jar there.
Yeah.
Um, and you'll want to have some length on it to stick it in the fluval. And you'll notice, of course, it's pretty intuitive, but you'll see you only have a short little bit of stem on the bottom there, and you have this long jar. So you can do one of two things. You could stick it in just like that. However, the leaves will be resting on the substrate, which isn't a big issue with Hoyas because Hoyas have thick, waxy leaves that don't tend to really melt away when you propagate if they're touching substrate, unlike some other plants. However, it I tend to just remove, even with my fingernail or scissor, just remove those bottom leaves. And I know you're a gardener, so you're used to doing this, but
I know people get so like, sensitive about
I know
it. But yeah,
it's
let's
like
do it.
you don't want to remove those bottom leaves. They're so
Yeah.
pretty. But yes, oh, and now this is optional. You already had it on your scissors, but you can dip it in the Clonex gel before. Now, technically, you are supposed to pour the Clonex. The Clonex is the rooting hormone gel that you had. Clonex is awesome. It works really, really well. It smells awful. Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Not
smells
cute.
like what do you think it smells like? Like a mothball or something?
I don't know.
I wish you guys could smell it
Yeah.
through the
It's
screen.
weird.
It's like mothballs, I think.
Yeah.
It's intense. So I'm a little bit lazy, or at least, or maybe I should say busy, and I just stick it in the jar. Don't quote me on that though, because you're supposed, no, I stick it in the Clonex
Oh,
jar.
okay.
Um, you're supposed to not do that though, because you shouldn't contaminate your jar of Clonex. You should first pour the Clonex into a separate container and then dip your cuttings into that, because you will want to get that stem covered in Clonex gel.
So not just the node, you want to cover the whole stem.
The whole bottom of the stem. It cannot hurt. It's just extra rooting hormone.
I'm just gonna
And
be lazy like you. I just dipped it in.
I know, like, you know what? Because I always figure, look, like there's no rot on my stem. Like I'm not dealing, and
Right.
this is not like I'm not in a factory, and I'm not like worried about contamination. And if something happened, I'd buy a new bottle of
Yeah.
Clonex. Like I'm not freaked out about it. But technically speaking, to be safe, you should pour it into a separate one. Okay, so from here, then you simply just stick your cutting into the jar of fluval.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that rooting hormone is optional. It will speed up the rooting process though.
So
Now,
I
of
think I want
course,
to take one more. Actually, no, because we've got a lot of different things to do. So we can keep it going. But
okay,
with,
but you have to add water now. Is
yeah.
the last
Okay.
step.
So how much water am I putting in there?
Okay, like the billionth thing that I love about fluval is that it is so forgiving in terms of how much water you give it. You could fill this up like an inch. You could fill it up halfway with water. I have someone that works for me that always fills it up all the way with water, like to the top of the fluval. and all of her cuttings still live. And I'm like, wait, I thought I was always filling it up a third of the way. And so really it's compressed soil. So I was treating it like a semi-hydro substrate for like a whole
Right.
year. So yeah, just fill it up like halfway or a third, and it's gonna be fine.
Okay.
I
It's a
love how
little more
you're
than
just like,
halfway, but we'll pretend.
it really is so forgiving, and so it's a great substrate for beginners to work with.
I
And
love that it anchors the plant
yeah,
because that is a big part of the water prop. So I love that.
it's great. It's great. And people, a lot of people just let their plants stay in fluval because they'll notice how these like white juicy roots start growing through the little black pellets. And then they're like, well, I'm not going to move my plant. Like it's so happy in here.
Right.
And it's so easy to want to just leave it. The only thing is after like a couple years, the fluval will start to break down, and because it is soil and it's soft, so it will compress and just turn into like a mud essentially. So you will have to replace it after a couple years, but I mean that's the standard repotting anyway. So
Amazing.
yeah.
So now I'm very excited to chat with you because I know that we're going to make a prop box for
Yes.
ourselves. There was a moment when prop boxes were like all the
Yeah.
rage. They were like what everybody was talking about. Then I feel like I haven't seen or heard about them as much lately, but
Right.
let's bring it back. So I'm going a little rogue on you. You told me to have a plain plastic. You said bring a plain plastic box, but I couldn't find one. But I do have this egg carton, and I thought it would
I
be cute
love it.
because I could put like individual plants in each one.
I love it. You're upcycling.
I'm upcycling. So walk me through. I've done one or two prop boxes in my past, but I tend to forget about them. So I'm excited to commit to this one. So what do you need for a prop box, and how would you do it?
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, yeah, it's funny because prop boxes were super popular, especially during the pandemic. And really, what you need for a prop box is just a box that is any sort of receptacle that's clear or translucent, so that light can get through. Something that's sealed because it's humidity that matters in order for the roots to grow. And so check, you've got that. And so a damp substrate inside. So when I say substrate, it can be sphagnum moss, it can be perlite, it can be fluval stratum, it could be leca. So you've got the sphagnum moss right there, perfect. And I see it's already damp. So, just fill up the prop box or egg box with the sphagnum moss. One thing that I personally like to do, if you want to take it to the next level, and you do not have to do it here, I'm just going to mention it, is put a little drainage layer on the bottom of a prop box. So like a little bit of leca
I
or
have leca, so
okay,
like put
like a thin layer of leca on the bottom of the moss. And what that does is if you tend to be a little heavy handed with the water, when you're adding more water, it will just go to the bottom, and the leca will help to soak up that excess water instead of the water just pooling on the bottom or the moss
genius.
becoming too damp.
I love this. I'm gonna do half with leca and half without, and we're gonna do a little experiment.
Perfect. Perfect. I use either leca or perlite, whatever I have on hand. And you don't have, again, that's like a nice to have, not a need to
Okay.
have. Um, People often ask how damp should the moss be, and I always say just as wet as a wrung out sponge. So if you were to wet it, give it one squeeze, that's fine, but not to stress too much
Okay.
about how wet it is.
So now, what type of cuttings are we taking for this?
Okay, so what you want for any type of prop box situation is a node. And you mentioned a wet stick, and that's essentially a node cutting. And what a node is essentially where the leaves are located. So the leaves are located where the nodes are. And the nodes is the place, I just spilled my soil. The nodes is a place where new shoots will come out of on the plant. So it's the place where the buds will form right there, and new shoots and new leaves will come out of a node. So you'll want to cut on both sides of a node. They're very easy to see on Hoyas. And again, a node is not a leaf. It is not a petiole, but it is this area. It's hard to identify specifically always, but
Okay.
it is this area. So you're going to cut on both sides of the node
Am I
and make these little
keeping the leaves on?
Yes, keep the leaves on. Um, you can a wet stick. That term is for when you don't keep the leaves on. It looks just like a stick, but and you can definitely do that. But keeping the leaves on helps the cutting to photosynthesize faster, and it will increase the speed at which your plant takes root. And for a Hoya, they're so small, you might as well just keep the leaves on.
So am I tucking them into the soil? Sorry, am I just placing them on top of the sphagnum moss, or am I putting sphagnum moss on top and like tucking it in like a baby?
That is a great question. So Hoyas are epiphytes, meaning that they grow on top of trees and on branches in nature. So they already have a lot of these aerial roots. And so as long as it's 100% humidity, if you're just resting it on top of the moss, these little tiny aerial roots are going to start growing.
Okay.
So you don't really need to tuck it at all. It's going to reach down towards that substrate. So you just kind of throw them on top.
Say I wanted to do like a bunch. So see, I just cut this long stem.
Right.
Now I can go through, there's one, then trim this.
Perfect.
There's my second one, then trim this.
Yep.
There's my third one. And I can root all of these, yeah?
Each one is going to become its own separate vine.
So cool.
Now you're going to end up with a million Hoyas.
I know. I'm like, oopsies. I just realized I'm like propagating 8 Hoyas today, but this is so fun.
This
Okay,
is how
cool.
it starts.
And then what's the deal with, so I've taken my cuttings. I'm going to snap this shut. What do you do with storage of prop boxes like these?
And well, that's the problem, right? You end up with like 50 prop boxes and 100 plants. Anywhere, any bright, warm location. And when I say warm, I mean, I live in Chicago and there really is no warm place in my house right now. It's 10 degrees outside. So, I mean, anywhere that it's like 70 degrees and up in your house is fine. And that's receiving bright indirect light. Even some direct sunlight is fine. And if you don't have a place like that, a little grow light bulb is fine. So that's any place where it's receiving some light. It doesn't even have to be a ton of light. Prop boxes, because they're 100% humidity, encourage rapid growth even under, or growth in general, even under very less than ideal conditions. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, there's some prop boxes that I have in very little light in the corner of my room, and I'll forget about it. And I'll like 6 months later, I'll open it up and there's like literally a jungle inside. So it's amazing what
So you don't have to
grow.
worry about light that much.
No, I mean, ideally, yes, you give it a lot of light. So that's the ideal. But should you forget about a prop box in a darker corner of your house, you'd be surprised. You open Pandora's box and you're like, oh my God, like things were growing in there. Because it's like the jungle, the jungle understory is pretty dark and it's damp, and things still grow. It's pretty incredible.
That's amazing. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Hoyas in here. I'm going to snap this up, put it on my windowsill.
Awesome.
And forget about it. And in a month, see what happens.
Yes.
Now, you asked me to get paper clips, and I forgot. I'm just going to go right there and get them. But why don't you explain what we're doing next while I grab my paper clips?
Sure. So the next thing we're going to do is called ground layering, which is a technique that a lot of people don't realize that we could do with Hoyas. So it's a little less known. And ground layering is essentially the same thing as air layering, except we're using a pot to layer the stem of our Hoyas onto. So instead of using a ball to wrap sphagnum moss, say, or dirt around the stem like you would in air layering for the roots to grow into, we're going to set up another pot alongside our Hoya and lay the stem of our Hoya on top of that pot and pin it down, similar to what you probably have seen some people do with string of hearts plants, where they wrap the string of hearts back into their plant. But this we're going to use a separate pot for, and we're going to wrap the vine on top of the second pot, pin it down, and believe it or not, this Hoya is going to grow roots into the second pot.
So can
It's pretty
I ask
amazing.
you, I just realized I forgot one question. For the prop box, do I use this or I just put the raw nodes in there?
You know, honestly, yeah, again, it's optional. You didn't
Okay.
use it, it's fine.
But I could use it if I wanted to.
You could use it. I mean, again, it would speed things up. It would speed things up. But you didn't need to you didn't need to use it to make it root. It just makes it root faster.
So I've got this Hoya curtersii that has this one like really long but like leggy, but it's actually growing new roots from the node. So long and leggy. So I love this idea. So we're not separating this. We're leaving it attached to the plant. And then I'm just like
Wrapping it.
arranging this. Now I don't have a paper clip, but I do have staples. So I'm going rogue on you again.
I love it. Make it your own.
So I have staples like this, so I'm figuring I might be able to.
I love it. Wait, are you using like tiny staples? Oh my God.
They're like staples for my stapler.
But this is what being a plant parent's all about,
I'm
right?
like, we're making it work, baby.
Make it work.
But I realized that having a longer paper clip would be much better. I know I have paper clips, I just can't find them.
Or bobby pins. Bobby pins also work amazing.
I have bobby pins. Hold on one second. I know where they are. Hold, please. Keep talking. Keep
Okay, I could talk all day. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a Gemini from New Jersey. I mean, I'll just keep talking. But yes, bobby pins, paper clips, but they also make floral pins if any of you guys are florists or gardeners. And you're going to wrap the Hoya around the new pot. So this method works the best, obviously, in a greenhouse setting or a grow tent setting, or if you live in a humid environment, which is not Chicago, but if you live, you know, on the coast
I
somewhere.
live in Florida.
That's amazing. I'm incredibly jealous right now. Please take me to Florida. Okay, so
Come for TPIE next week.
God, I wish. I know that's. You're going?
Yes.
TPI. Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. That's the tropical plant.
Tropical plant. Yeah, shout out FGNLA.
Yes.
Okay, so I've opened my paper. These are working so much better than the staples. So I've opened them and I've pinned them down. So now this whole vine is sitting on this wet soil.
Yes.
So now what do I do?
Okay, yeah. So make sure especially that like if there's any aerial roots like this, that they're coming in contact with the soil so they can really reach down. And if you don't, my point was, all is not lost if you're living in a miserable cold place like Chicago right now, and you don't have a humid environment. You can create an artificial little humid environment by like putting a little plastic baggie or creating like an artificial little greenhouse. Right. Exactly. Over your second pot. If you saw my desk right now, I'm just spilling dirt. I'm just a hot mess. I'm a hot freaking mess.
You and me both, girl. You and me both.
You know, Instagram, it's easier to curate less of a hot mess life, but like on Instagram Live, it's like you're just seeing how much
just
of a hot mess I am live. Okay, so basically you get the idea here, and if you were to just leave it like this, nothing would happen because that pot is dry. And so if it was extreme 100% humidity, it might take root. But what you need to do now is moisten this soil completely.
Okay.
Not the mother plant, but the baby soil,
Mhm.
the baby plant soil, to get it completely saturated, I should say, to start off with, so that the root, the vine knows to grow roots. And now the benefit of this method is that the plant vine is still receiving fertilizer, nutrients, moisture, water, everything that it needs from the mother plant throughout this whole process, which is really cool. So you don't really have to worry about taking care of it so much, because it's getting everything from its mom. The umbilical cord literally is still attached. So it's
That
kind
is
of cool.
so,
So
so cool.
you just have to keep, what I did when I did this at home, I just kept misting the baby plant to
Yeah, I'm
keep it.
realizing probably a terracotta pot wasn't wise because that'll dry out the fastest. So I think I would either put this in a saucer with water, or I might repot this into a glazed ceramic pot.
Right. That a saucer with water would work, or yes, a glazed pot would work, or a plastic pot. Something of that sort would definitely work better than terracotta, unless you really like watering every day, or you're in a really humid house. And yeah, and it's really incredible. And then after, you'll notice, the only great way to check if it has grown roots is to kind of pull it up a little bit. And after the roots are just about like an inch long, then you can just cut the baby from the mom, and you have a whole coiled plant, and then it starts to grow its own vines. And what I did with mine at that point, because I was like, okay, this is odd because I have a whole vine. And you'll see, like in my book, I have pictures of what I did. I then kind of separated each, like I cut them all free
Like within, so in
within.
here, you then went and cut up the spiral. Okay,
Yes. And then each one started growing
cool.
its own vine. Yeah. And then I had a whole other pot of Hoya. So it's just a really unique method to propagating Hoyas that people don't really think about. So
That's
I just wanted to share.
amazing. Well, gosh, if you did this in 30 minutes, I can't even imagine what someone who gets their hands on your book could do. So, this has been such a fun lunch
Yeah.
break. I'm so excited. I'm going to put these on my office windowsill so I can keep my eyes on them.
Awesome.
This is like just the beginning of your book, though. You have so many different,
It's a lot.
propagation. Yeah. So tell us about your book and where we can find it.
Oh my gosh, my book is available anywhere where essentially books are sold. So Amazon, Target, and all those like smaller bookstores. And my website, alltheplantbabies.com. You can get a signed autographed copy. And yeah, this is my book, Ultimate Guide to House Plant Propagation. There's a lot of info, not just about Hoyas, but philodendrons, a lot of aroid information, succulent propagation. And yeah, if you want to get into pollination at all, that's a whole other, that's like 2 lunchtime breaks worth of
Oh
discussion,
my
but
gosh.
that's like,
And it's like I'm not even ready for it yet. I'm like that's past my pay grade. But
it's
this
so exciting and so much fun though. Oh my God, anthurium pollination, because then you're really making like actual little babies. Okay.
yeah, you're like literally make it like doing it.
Plant
It's so
sex,
fun.
yeah.
Particularly too, because you're in Chicago in the winter. I lived in New York for my whole life. I just moved to Florida, and in the winter, that's when I wanted to sprout seeds and propagate and
Right.
do that kind of stuff, because you get so quiet and slow and tired, and you want to see that like root growth. You want to see growth in the winter. So,
Right.
you know, take with that what it means to you, plant friends. But if you're suffering through winter, not like winter's the greatest time to propagate, but I just know personally, like I was like sprouting seeds in March. I knew they would never get into my garden, but I was like,
Right.
I got to do something.
You,
So,
seriously, because you still have that gardening itch, but like you're inside.
exactly.
It's the perfect time. It really is. And you know what? Houseplant propagation, like you get to control the environment. You can make it humid, you can make it warm, you can make it bright inside your house. And while it's still, if it's snowing and cold outside, at least you have control over your inside environment for your plants. So I think winter is the perfect time to
So
propagate.
fun. Well, author to author,
Thank you
congratulations.
so much for having me
Proud of
on
you,
here, Maria.
friend. I mean, I think we met in Chicago like in 2019, right?
Oh my gosh, I was such a fangirl. I still am of your podcast. And you came to a local bookshop, and I was like, oh my gosh, Maria's coming, Maria's coming, and I drove to the city to see you, and oh my
Oh
gosh,
my
yes, I'm
God,
still a
full
fangirl.
circle.
Yes,
That's
full circle
amazing.
moment.
Well, I'm so happy to be celebrating you and obviously thankful that you're a part of my community
Thank you.
and excited to be a part
Yes,
of your community and become a Hoya head because of this.
yes,
So,
I love it.
congratulations. Everybody go grab her book and obviously go follow all the plant babies as well.
Thank you.
And maybe we'll have a live check-in on the propagations in like a month or so.
Ooh.
How long am I waiting to see roots?
Oh my gosh. That's a tough question because it all depends on how warm and how sunny your environment is and whether you use Clonex or not. But
Right.
um, I would say about a month.
Okay.
Well, a few weeks till the roots, a couple weeks until the roots form, but maybe 3 to 4 weeks until you really see significant roots.
Okay. Well, let's touch base in a month.
Okay,
Can't wait.
sounds good.
Awesome. Congrats, friend.
Bye. Thanks, Maria.
Bye.